Cody brings over 10 years of credit union experience to our network. Since joining CU Answers Client Services team in 2016 as a Level 2 client service representative, Cody has served in various roles, including account executive and certified trainer. Cody's core focus with Earnings Edge is to help you identify specific ways to design and earn from CU Base. Earnings Edge provides education and consulting in marketing, accounting, and special projects pertaining to custom fees, notices, A&R, dividend applications, and more. I know how excited Cody is today to introduce Xpress Teller and to introduce all the ways that CU Answers has gone to work in implementing this into the CU Base 2105 release. We're going to go ahead and use chat today to introduce all of your questions. So look for your chat icon found at the bottom or upper corners of your screen. There should be a little orange or white chat icon. Again, we're going to go ahead and use chat to answer all your questions. I'll be moderating those questions alongside of Cody. Cody, are you ready to begin?
I am ready to begin.
Awesome. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Julie. So my name is Cody, and I am here today to talk about Xpress Teller. So good afternoon, everybody, or possibly good morning. Let's start with what is Xpress Teller. Some of you may not know much about it so far. So it's a separate teller processing platform that's coming to CU Base, and it's designed to streamline and simplify the teller experience, offering an alternative that was built with today's changing lobbies in mind. So we're going to talk about two different tools today. First one is going to be tool number 1775, which will be available after the release, 2105 release. And this is where the workflow controls are held for Xpress Teller. These are configured by branch and independent from the existing workflow controls for standard teller, which can be found in tool number 1005. All right, so like I mentioned, you can configure these at the branch level. So depending on how a certain branch runs, maybe certain configurations make sense for that branch, but possibly not for others. So I want you to keep in mind that you can go ahead and set it up per branch. And we want to emphasize as well to make sure you please set up the workflow controls prior to using the Xpress Teller tool, which is number 1600. So on my screen here, you can see the workflow controls. This is page 1 of 3 for Xpress Teller. I'm excited to announce some new account search features that will be available. So let's start right at the top here, the display CU defined images. So what this is referring to, and I'll give you a screen, what that screen will look like here in just a little bit, and that is graphics that you can have on the teller home screen specific to you. So perhaps you're doing some kind of campaign on, auto loans, or you have a third-party insurance that you work with. You can put links right on the teller home screen that will be able to take you to a website or give further information to help those conversations between frontline staff and members that are in front of them. Next up, we have the show return to last account shortcut button. So in Standard Teller, you have the option, as well as Xpress Teller, to go to the last 10 accounts that you've accessed. Well, we are excited to announce in Xpress Teller, we are going to have a return to last account button. So for the member that may do a transaction on their way out the door, and then I have I need to do this as well, you can simply just click that button and it takes you right back to that account you were just in. Allow Teller to perform advanced search is my next option here. What this is referring to is, do I want the ability to search for the items that you see right below that? So today we can already search by account number, last four of card, DBA name, that sort of thing. We are very excited to announce that we can actually have search capabilities by email address, online banking username, and of course the standard first and last name, driver's license, phone number, all sorts of ways to find that membership. So it's much easier to do so when you're trying to assist a member that's in front of you that just doesn't know that account number. We have some specific options here, the next one being one of them, to find base accounts only, no sub-accounts. So this would look for just accounts that have just share accounts. So it would limit your search a little bit to maybe help you find that account a little easier. It's just a little bit of a cleaner search if you would like to do so. Again, you can have this by branch or configure every branch the same. Display warning, the fraud alert that you see today. When you go into a membership in Standard Teller, you may see a message that says member has had transactions today or within the past blank days. So this ability is, this is able to be done in Xpress Teller 2. You can go from they've had transactions today all the way up to 9 days previous. And those can range from teller posting specifically and or the following: PIN, ATM, and debit-based transactions, phone operator transactions, and online banking or audio banking transactions. So the section below that just gives, again, a list of everything that is able to be used for search capabilities. You now have the ability to organize, if you will, the columns for the search results. So you could have it, for example, not show the social security number when you're looking up a membership, not show the relationship on the account. Maybe you just want the name and the account number, a clean search that way. You can customize this any way that you see necessary for each branch. And by the way, I will be happy to show you what that all looks like shortly. And then the allow access to other member service tools. So this is referring to those things that you can already do today that are at the bottom middle of your Standard Teller session. So open accounts, close accounts, add comments on the account. We give you the option to include or exclude any of those options that you see there on the screen. So this is screen 2 of the workflow controls. The first option is, do I want to allow the bypass of ID verification? You may be going, what does that mean exactly? Down at the bottom of my screenshot here, I can see two different things: a bypass ID verification and a no bypass. The first one, essentially what that will do, if enabled, will let you go right to funds in or deposit withdrawal within Xpress Teller. You don't have to verify member, in other words, have the driver's license show, and then, you know, the normal stuff that you see show for verification. Prompt to enter code word if one exists. This works a little differently in Xpress Teller. So if this is checked on, you will be prompted to enter the code word manually, type it in to the account. This is totally optional. It's another layer of security. If the member doesn't know their code word or you wish not to turn this on, either way, it's okay. You can jump to phone operator, let's say, and you can see what the code word is, but you actually, for this, you will be prompted to type it in. But you could always utilize the pause button on CU Base or another session and see what that code word is for verification if you need to, or other verification. This one I'm really excited about. So the display photo ID images. So you already can see those, of course. However, with Xpress Teller, you have the ability to see them right on the CU Base session. I think it's a great, clean looking screen when you have that ID right on the, it'll be in the, near the top right of the screen there, instead of a separate pop-up. Absolutely can have it a separate pop-up as well, if that works best for you. However, this is something that is going to be coming for Xpress Teller, and we're very excited about it. Display gender is an option. Display warning message when member has a negative balance. So just like today, at the bottom of the screen, you may see a message that says the member has a negative balance, or delinquent loan. Those options are available Xpress Teller as well, as well as wrong address, wrong email address, and wrong phone number. One neat feature I like about this is if those three that I just mentioned are wrong, any of them, you'll see a little pencil icon next to that where it takes you right to that screen to update that information so your member has their contact information up to date for better communication. And then last on this screen for the ID features, you can show which private data is on the screen. So how much of the driver's license is going to show, for verification, let's say. Do I want to show the code word at all? Maybe you don't utilize the code word feature and you don't want it on the screen. Or birth date, you can have that as well. And then the third and final screen, this is towards the transaction processing. So there's some great new features here. The first option is allow negative balance teller override. So what this does is takes the account negative. This is not the same as courtesy pay, but allows the account just to go negative. Next, you have the show multiple outside check entry field. What that is do I always want to see the outside check field, or do I want it to show for just certain membership designations, or have it based on deposit item fee accounts only to show the outside checks in there? So maybe some business accounts, you have that membership designation that shows that. You can have this taken away completely so you don't see the multiple checks. And I'll show you what that looks like here very soon. If you don't take in-house drafts, or most of us call it, and I know I call it on-us checks, you don't have to do so in Xpress Teller. It's totally an option. And then some familiar things, of course, like the highlight share accounts, if negative, same with delinquent loans. And if the account is below par, so if the regular share is below par. And one great new feature that I like, and I know that I would definitely use, is the highlight loans with AFT payments. So today, you may get a message at the bottom of your screen that says, this loan has an AFT, and you have to just hit enter to get past it. Well, now, when you go into the account, it's going to already be highlighted in blue and give you that indication already. The next section is, this is referring to a future enhancement, and it has to do with virtual strongbox if you use that at your credit union, where you can specify exactly what type of receipt format is sent to the member's online banking. And then, as you probably have heard or may have heard, we are also rolling out our vertical receipts. I'm happy to talk about that today too. Within the configuration screen here at the bottom, you can see the options for that. So include the account balances summary. This is only for vertical receipts. Show ending balance, current balance and available balance, or maybe just current balance, totally optional there. And also suffixes to include only accounts for transactions were posted, or I'm very excited to say all accounts. So for the member that may come in and say, I need to do this transaction, they leave, they turn around and they go, oh, can you tell me my checking balance? Of course, you can just go to the Return to Last Account button in Xpress Teller. However, if you have this turned on, this feature, you can have all of your balances that they are on, as in joint on, show on the receipt. So I'm very excited about that. I do want to remind everybody that you can move over to vertical receipts with the imaging solutions team, imaging@cuanswers.com. You do not have to have vertical receipts to use Xpress Teller. However, if you do transition to vertical receipts, it's across the board. So if you want more information about that conversion process, please contact the imaging solutions team at imaging@cuanswers.com, and they'd be happy to schedule that conversion after hours or over a weekend. Okay.
Question time. Yes, there are a few questions, so I'll go ahead and read those to you. Cody, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right. The first question, so I'm going to read all questions aloud, even if they've been answered in chat, just to make sure that everybody is receiving all the information that they can. So the first question is the last 10 accounts still available in Xpress Teller?
Absolutely. So in a couple of slides here, I'll show you what that looks like, but it is available in Xpress Teller. Yep.
Wonderful. Will the ability to search by phone number be available with standard Teller?
Not at this time. This enhancement is currently exclusive to Xpress Teller. We're always working on enhancing the software though, so that could be a possibility later on.
What resolution does the driver's license need to be scanned?
What resolution you said?
Correct.
That I would need to, unless you happen to know, Julie, I need to double check with imaging solutions team to see if that is changing or if anything needs to be done differently there.
Excellent. I can check that for you while you're presenting the next section. Another question is, if you bypass the ID verification, would the ID still show on the actual transaction page?
So the driver's license will show on the ID verification screen, and that's not just the driver's license. It's going to show the other verification that you could verify the member with. So things like their driver's license, code word, all of that. So in Xpress Teller, there's absolutely screens where you can, take in funds and everything like that, but that ID will show on the ID verification screen. Even if you have that turned on to bypass, you absolutely can still click on that verify ID to see that.
So it'll just bypass the auto prompt. Is that true?
What's that?
So if it's turned off, it would bypass the auto prompt, but you can still select to see it.
Yes.
Okay. Will the pencil edit option auto update a tracker, or will that need to manually be done?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I had to think about that one. So when you do the file maintenance, you still would need to have the same authority in CU base, and it works the same. We're just excited to say that you can click on that right from Teller instead of updating it in Phone Operator. So it does the same function, just takes you to that screen.
And will tellers have the ability to change the configuration via the Xpress Teller workflow controls, or will this only allow a senior manager with those authorities to make configuration changes?
So similar to tool number 1005, which is just your standard Teller workflow controls, this is a tool authority access. So if someone has given access to tool number 1775, they can make those changes. So just like our other configuration screens, that does write out to CU file maintenance, but tool authority would be needed specifically for that tool number 1775 to be able to make any changes at all.
Okay. And do you have to use vertical receipts to use Xpress Teller?
No, you do not. We are excited for this opportunity to have them. If you choose not to have them, though, you can definitely still use Express Teller or Standard Teller, or both on the same day if you really want to.
And I think I heard you say that it's vertical receipts for one. If you turn it on, it's for everyone.
Yes, it is. Yep.
Will the ability to do multiple transactions also apply to shared branching?
Shared branching is actually not changing. You can go to shared branching from Express Teller, but it takes you to that tool set.
There's lots of great questions. Wow, this is awesome.
Yeah.
Is the cost of vertical receipts a flat conversion across all credit unions or based on some other criteria?
Can you repeat the beginning, Julie?
The cost of vertical receipts, is it the same for everyone or is it different across all organizations?
That one, I would have you speak with the imaging team. They're running that. So you could give them an email and they'd be happy to give you a call. imaging@cuanswers.com, and they'd have that conversation to see any costs involved.
Yep. Let's see, is there any way to add the VIN number to the advanced search area?
VIN number as in vehicle?
Correct.
Not at this time. However, we are always looking to hear from our credit union partners. So if you have something that you would like to see, please always submit your ideas. We definitely take those in factor, and I've seen a few of those for the 2105 release. Shout outs to a couple credit unions that had submitted those. So please send that in if you'd like to see that.
Will credit unions eventually be required to migrate to Express Teller?
No, I actually spoke with our writing team on that, and we have no plans to sunset Standard Teller.
This question may be answered later. What features and functionality we currently have in teller processing will not be available in Express Teller?
I think that one will be answered once we go into the screens for the teller posting tool. But if you have further questions after that, please feel free to chat again. I just want to make sure, we want to make sure that all of your questions are answered. So.
Excellent. With being able to print balances for all sub-accounts on the receipt, is there an option to choose that if a member wishes? Or will it print on every receipt if we have the option turned on?
So this is a master configuration by branch. So if branch 1 wants to print the summary of all balances on the receipt, it will do so for all of them. All the members on that.
Thank you. Can we use vertical receipts on all teller processing systems? So Express Teller and Standard?
Yes. Yes. So if you want to move to vertical receipts, it would be for both teller platforms. So yes, you could use it for Standard Teller.
2 more questions, and then we'll move on to the next section. The first one is, how many credit unions are testing at this time?
4. We have 4, I believe we have 4 credit unions in the beta period for the 2105 release.
You can see all their feedback, I think, online, right, Cody?
Yes. Yes, you can.
And one more question. Are we able to demo in Bedrock and CTE?
Oh, I love that question.
Yes, me too.
And you beat me to it. As soon as the release goes in and there's a refresh for CTE, yes. As soon as the release goes in and in the 23rd, this coming weekend, it will be available on Bedrock for
Can't wait for everybody to check it out. Okay, are we ready to go to the next section?
I think we are.
Great.
Thank you. All right. You guys have excellent questions. I was looking forward to all of those. The next portion really is the actual teller posting side. I know I've spoken with a few credit unions, and they, is this meant for just the manager? Is this meant for the teller? This class, this training session is really for everybody. So we'll go over everything. So with that in mind, let's switch gears a little and move to the actual teller posting tool. So that tool number is 1600. You may have already seen the little spoiler there, but when you go into the tool in the morning, your drawer will automatically activate. So I know I can't hear you, but I'm hoping I'm getting a couple claps here. It's a couple less things you have to do for your day. So when you type in the tool number, it launches the screen that you see here, and it tells you which office you're activating at. So you simply click your forward arrow or enter and move forward with that accordingly. My next screen is the Xpress Teller home screen or main screen. So up at the top, you have the cash and drawer. So that is a new feature for Xpress Teller, of course, that will always have your running drawer balance. Always can keep an eye on it throughout the day. The next section below is for the account number search, and then you would just hit enter or click go. If you participate in extend shared branching, so other credit unions that use CU answers for their core processor, that's just like today when you see it in standard teller where you could type in the credit union number or search for it. So that's available. National shared branching is also available while we're on the topic here, kind of. So that is available and will work the same as it does today. The search memberships feature is next. So you can search right there in that bar for any of the items that are configured to be able to do. So that's why it's so important to do your configurations first, so everybody knows what things they can use to search. So you may even want to, create something that shows, all staff what they can be using for searching going forward, but they don't have to memorize it by any means. I'm going to show you very shortly that it will bring up a separate pop-up window if you click the advanced button. And you may notice the big blank section in the middle. So that is where those graphics are going to show. So remember I mentioned something about the third-party insurance, or maybe your auto loan rate is low right now, or it has been lowered, and you want the teller to click on that and they take you to your website, let's say, where you can have further conversation with that member. Maybe they notice that that member does not have an auto loan with you, but you want to have that conversation and see if maybe you can cross-sell. You do not have to use the graphics. The IRSC team, the Internet Retail Support Center team at CU Answers, will help you get those loaded onto CU Base. The bottom section is the additional member services. So those things like the open and close memberships, doing a transfer, that sort of thing. And then you have the last 10 accounts button. So that is actually at the bottom of the screen. And since this particular display has not accessed an account yet, you don't see the return to last account, but that will actually be right to the left, at the bottom right of the screen to the left of the last 10 accounts. There we go. So the next screen is if I were to click the advanced search. So I'm kind of doing the click by click here so you can get a pretty good experience of what it will look like visually. You can then again search for any of the items on that list that you see there. You can uncheck them all, you can check them all. It just depends on what you have configured. If you allow everything, then everything can be checked and you can search through every one of those sources there. So on my screen, I have everything checked right now. So if I put in the last name Smith and I see everything is checked, I'm going to get a lot of results. So it is totally up to the teller, their preference of how they want to search, but we want to give you that capability to find that member in many different ways going forward. Once I find my member, I do a search. Here are my results. So a familiar screen. You have your name, your SSN, the relationship. Again, remember, these are things that you can have turned on or off, if you will, to show in the search criteria. So if you don't want to see any social security numbers in the search criteria, they won't show there, but you'll see everything else that you do have clicked as active. These columns here that you see are all sortable. So this is an example, just a quick example of what it would look like if I were to search for member test. And I want to mention something real quick. I had an excellent question in my previous presentation. Can you search by first name? Yes, you can. And I say that because I tested it. I went in there and I saw that you can search by first name. Now, again, you may find a lot of results that way, but I was able to do so. If you notice at the bottom left of my screen, you do see the shared branch network. That is the national shared branching. So again, still available right on the lookup screen here. Just another quick snapshot. I'm more of a visual person myself. I went into the configuration and let's say I only want to see name, relationship, and primary name on the account. Just simply will show those items there and just remove everything else. Just always read from the configuration. All right, so let's get to the membership account screens. So if I were to click on my membership, I do get the who are you serving today? Now remember, you have the option to verify ID, like you have to verify ID first, or you may see the funds in deposit/withdrawal right on the verification screen. So I have it checked on, so I do see all three options there. Down at the bottom, I can click on serving a non-owner. It'll automatically suppress balances just like it does today in Standard Teller. And I had an excellent question earlier in a conversation today about secondary names inquiry. You absolutely can do that right from the screen, a little bit similar to how you do it in Standard Teller if you just want to take a peek and see, what they're on and what relationship type they are for the account. So to wrap up this screen, you would either click Verify ID, Funds In, or Deposit Withdrawal, depending on, of course, what type of transaction you're doing. And just like today, the driver's license of that person will pop up on the screen or as a separate pop-up. Speaking of driver's license here, as you can see, this is the example of what it would look like if it was on the screen. And not only the driver's license will be on there, the member comments too. I think this is a nice clean look to the verification screen that shows just what you need. So just to verify that number and move on with the transaction. So I had a question or a comment earlier about the, are you able to come here and then go forward? You don't have to back out of the screen if you have the verify member, the bypass turned off. this is where you would actually go to the funds in, deposit, withdrawal if you had to verify the ID first. So you don't have to backtrack by any means. It's just an extra step if you want that added layer of the identification security there enabled. So more about this screen, based on what you have configured, say that a few times, right? You have the member name, date of birth, for example, code word, age, gender. Here's where you can see the member address is wrong, phone number, and email. So this person needs to update their information, and it stands out big time for you when you come in here. So to view that and change it, you would simply just click on those buttons there to move forward. Then you have your account comments. Those will look very similar to how they do today, just a little bit different color. I can view all my accounts. So if I want to go in and just view everything that I'm on, similar to the all my accounts feature in Standard Teller, definitely can do that. And something that is a little different, as you can probably see already, the checks, money orders, funds in, and deposit withdrawal options are all listed here. So the checks and money orders still works in Xpress Teller. You can still process them, but there are no prop codes. So you would just simply click that if you needed to do those types of transactions. Funds in would give you everything, and I'll show you what I mean in just a minute. That is going to be all of your outside checks, your cash, your in-house drafts, and you may be wondering, well, we can already do that in Standard Teller. However, you can take multiple in-house and outside checks right from the main funds in screen. And even more, and I'll show you in just a minute. All right, Julie, let's go ahead and stop for some questions.
Your timing is so good. There's lots of questions. Here we go.
Good.
And some of these you may have answered, but again, I'm going to go ahead and read through them just to be sure that everyone's questions were presented and answered. Let's see. The first question is about shared branching. Then was, can this be used as a shared branching teller transaction via co-op?
It broke up a little bit. I tried to comprehend it. What did you said a co-op shared branching?
Correct.
Yes, any shared branching capability that you have today is still available in the alternative option of Xpress Teller as well.
If a non-member is depositing and we have vertical receipts, will all sub-accounts show on the receipt?
I think that depends. So if you use non-member services in Teller, that is not something that is in Xpress Teller. So in other words, you would need to pop over there if you needed to cash a check. Now, depending on how you do it, if you use the CE-based non-member services, you'll get the same result. It will just show the transaction. But if you go through the membership to clear that on-us check, you would want to make sure you chose the serving a non-owner. That way it doesn't show any balances on the receipt. Excellent question.
Be sure to watch your procedures. Let's see. What happens if you're working at a different location regarding auto activation?
So based on where your workstation is configured at, any of the branches that you may have, when you go into that tool, it's actually going to read that you're at that workstation, that branch, and still function the same, still activate, give you that pop-up real quick before you start your transactions.
Okay. Our employees are required to enter their employee ID and password each time to do a transaction. Will this option be available in Xpress Teller?
Not at this time. So if that is something that is required, you would need to use Standard Teller for that. But I did mention we are always we love to hear your ideas. We're making enhancements. I know that, and I'll mention at the end, we're always updating our In the Kitchen page on cuanswers.com, and we're already working on new items for Express Teller. We've already had some feedback from either beta credit unions or just general feedback, and we're excited to hear that, and we're going to I'll show you at the end, or remind you at the end, how to get to that page so you can see what we're working on next.
Awesome. So we don't need to add the first two initials of the last name before going into an account?
Correct. Not an Express Teller.
Will the system remember your cash drawer totals overnight so you don't have to re-enter it every day?
So the drawer balancing will actually work exactly the same. So the activation is a quicker process. However, if you click Drawer Control Audit and all system processes, end-of-day processing, all of that will still work the same regardless of which platform you use that day.
Awesome. Let's see. Will you be able to serve non-members cashing member checks or by money orders?
That depends on policy procedure at the credit union. A little bit ago, we talked about the non-member services using standard teller. You would want to do that still today. But if your policy procedure lets you go into cash that on-us check in the member account, then you could use this for non-member. Again, that would be a policy procedure item.
Okay. I'm not sure I understand this question, but I'll read it. How is the functionality with head teller functions to teller function assignments work?
How is the head teller functions? Is that what you said?
Correct. How is the functionality with head teller functions to teller function assignments work?
So if I'm understanding correct, if I'm understanding correctly, that will not change. So again, if I'm understanding correctly, if you have a head teller that does those bulk transfers, as long as that drawer is activated, all of that will work. Well, actually, it'll work the same. If the drawer is activated, you'll jump to tool number 32 and do that transfer just the same way you do today.
Excellent. Are the options available for each individual teller to personalize, or will be chosen for the entire credit union as a whole?
It just depends. So in the configuration screen, you can narrow it down by branch, but when it comes to the advanced search features in Express Teller, you can go in to choose even account by account basis what you want to search for and that sort of thing. So yes and no.
Okay. How about searching closed accounts and dormant account alerts?
So if you're looking for closed accounts, that functionality will still be within the member inquiry option in CBase. Or phone number.
How about reversing a transaction? Can I do that in Express Teller?
Yes, you can. So I'm excited to say that the reversal process is not changing. You'll still go to tool number 31 if you have the authority to do so, or for somebody else if you don't, to do that reversal. It'll be the same exact process.
Great questions. Is the teller able to select only the phone number and search only the feature of their choice, or will the search always selected in tool 1775 every time?
So it'll default to whatever is in tool number 1775, but each transaction you can uncheck and check off and on those options. You don't have to use the advanced search. I mean, if you know the account number, you can avoid all of that part altogether. But yes, you'll be able to do it at a member by member basis, just depending on the configuration and what the teller is able to uncheck and check in the member's account when you're searching.
Right, allowing you to obtain account numbers faster. Is there a pause waiting for the ID to appear?
Is there a what?
Pause when you wait for the ID to appear.
From looking at the toolkit, so when you go into, let's say it is on the screen, you'll see a little quick spin right where the ID is, and then it pops up right there. If it's the traditional way, I'll say, it will pop up exactly the same. It'll show in a window on the bottom right of your screen, but you'll have to close it out manually to move forward.
They also scan IDs through Xpress Teller.
No, so for that, you will go, well, there's a couple different things you can use the same features you do today to scan driver's licenses, documents, all of that, phone operator, and click secondary names or the no ID on file and standard teller, for example.
Where do we read tracker notes?
So you would pop into phone operator just like you do today, for example, to read the tracker. So you can always hit your pause button on any CU-based session and view that information very quickly. You can go right to member inquiry, view that tracker, and move back. So utilize those comments in CU-based that may prompt you to do so. That way you know that you need to go read the tracker just like today. But yes, you can easily just jump right into either of the phone operator or inquiry functions to see that information still.
Super. Can we update an ID from the Verify ID screen?
That is a very good question. I believe, now that I think about it a little bit more, Julie, can we get that contact information? I don't see the chat right now.
Yes.
I believe if you click on the no ID on file, if it's on the screen itself, if you have that turned on, I believe that will take you to that ProDoc screen, yes. But I'll verify that for sure. Good question.
Certainly. All right. Well, let's see, vault cash transfers and audit functionality. Where do I obtain that?
So the vault transfers still done the same through tool number 32. If you want to drawer control audit, I almost forgot. When you click drawer control audit, it's under other member services, additional member services on the main screen. That's going to take you to the same exact screen you see today with all your check totals, cash totals, your audit, everything will be in the same place in a familiar screen.
So in Xpress Teller, can I update member information like an address, email, or phone numbers, even if it's not marked incorrect?
That's a very good question. So the answer is no, actually. If it's not incorrect, it will not prompt you to change it. Now, if the member mentions it, you could just simply pop right into phone operator, names, address, and update it that way. So it's really about the same amount of clicks. So if you're in Teller, you would go to the phone operator, names, address, or inquiry, names, address to update it accordingly.
Or encourage the member to use online banking. Are deposit and withdrawal screens the same between standard and Xpress Teller, or will we need to create two different templates to work with cash recyclers?
I'm not sure I understand completely, but I do want to mention that with cash recyclers, so like let's say you use Dynacash, you will need to contact your Dynacash representative and let them know that you will start using an additional teller platform. Well, that's actually a really good question. We just published that out on our knowledge base, And again, at the end, I'll give you a reminder that that's out there, because that has helped a lot. And we thank you for your questions, because we're up to about 40 now just for Express Teller, and we're updating those constantly as they come in. So we have some great information out there from other credit union partners for those types of questions, so keep them coming. Yeah, so if you have any questions a little more specific than that, I would contact the imaging team. They work a lot with the cash recyclers.
Okay. Can you cash non-member on-us checks or transit checks from Teller Express?
That is the policy procedure question. If your policy or procedure lets you do so in the member account, then you could do that in Express Teller. Otherwise, if your policy is to use non-member services, you'll want to jump over to tool number 1 quick to do that transaction.
So any services to non-members are done through something other than Express Teller. Like we would use miscellaneous advance for a coin machine transaction for a non-member. How is that handled?
So miscellaneous advances work a little differently in Express Teller. It's actually on the one of the funds in screens I'll show you here shortly. So you do need to be in an account. So again, if it's a non-member service, you'll want to use standard Teller right now.
Automated holds with the configured setting, does it work?
Love that question. Yes. So your holds that you have, your automatic holds, that will follow an Express Teller. So if you're familiar with like the automated hold configuration tool number, I want to say 849, yes, it will absolutely follow that.
And to reiterate, do reversals handle the same?
Yes, reversals are the same. So you don't have to familiarize with a brand new process with that. You can just jump right to that reversal tool and do that reversal.
Great. Now with auto activate on the ID, are you saying that with Express Teller, if I will always activate the same drawer based on the workstation?
Yes.
Can we print mini statements from Express Teller?
That's a good question. So you can, let's see, we're almost to that point actually, and I'll show you what I mean. But you can look up transactions, past transactions in Express Teller. So you could, if your policy is, you're able to print off screen prints of CU base. Otherwise, you'll still utilize the list feature for like transaction history.
Well, we have ability to print a balance if the member does not conduct a transaction. So can we print a balance receipt if they don't conduct a transaction?
If they don't do a transaction at all, no, but you could always print the verification of deposit, or the if it's in phone operator, you would hit inquiry, or it's an inquiry, and you could do a balance printout that way. However, if you don't do any type of transaction like today, there's no way to print all of the balances on the receipt, no.
So how is Express Teller different than CU-based Teller we use at this time?
A couple things. You have the auto activation. You could have the driver's license show on the screen. And just a couple visual slides here, I'll show you the differences. I'll point out the differences. And yeah, we'll go from there.
The next section. Yeah, I think more is coming. And I also want to point out the pretty amazing search tools too. So as a fellow teller, I get really excited about that. Let's see.
I know, especially, phone number. I love that.
Yeah, me too. Can you clarify again about trackers and comments? Will we be able to view them from Express Teller once you get into the members account?
So if you're in the members, it depends. If you're in the funds in screen, you can back out one screen. But just like today, if you want to see the tracker, you'll need to go to the inquiry of the account and either click go, or phone operator inquiry and click go, which is an enhancement we did just a little while back. So you don't have to go right to the tracker review under inquiry, but that'll be the same as today. Comments, however, will show right on the screen.
Yeah, here's an interesting question. How does it know the difference between tellers we all use stations and jump in when needed? Would we have our own session of Gold Up, or can it tell us apart somehow?
So it's just by session. So just like today, so example, like if you type in your 2-digit ID and password, it can read it that way in standard teller. It would be just up to the session, and of course your policy if you're able to have that multiple users on one PC.
Great. And there's about 4 more questions. Here's a great one. You're going to love this one. Will there be a link to Answer Book for assistance?
Yes. I had to think about that for a minute. That was an excellent question. I'm looking at my screen, and it was blue, and it's not a CU-based screen, and I was like, wait a minute. Yeah. On the next slide, the bottom of the screen will look exactly the same. So you'll have your arrows, you'll have your @ symbol for Answer Book, or if you choose to hit the pause button, you can always do not pause button, sorry, network links button. You can hit ask a question and take you right to Answer Book too. I love that question. You're right.
There's a few more. If teller has to go to standard teller to do a non-member thing, will they have to activate their drawer there also? And will that be figured in the cash total and Xpress teller?
They read from the same program, so they basically, if you're activated, you're activated. So it just depends. You know, maybe some branches or certain individuals, when they use standard teller, maybe they do a lot of non-member services, you would use standard teller. So it really just depends on how your lobby is ran. So I mentioned at the beginning, you know, it's designed as an alternative source. It does a lot of the same things. A lot of the screens have more on them and more features, like the advanced search features and whatnot. But yes.
So if I'm just to understand, and it's also a question, if you have Xpress teller and standard teller, you activate one time, correct?
Yes. Now I want to mention something. So you're not going to want to have the same member account in both platforms. So like I had mentioned that it's you know, a lot of the reporting and everything is the same. So it looks at the same information, just like the door control audit, the same exact screen and everything. So you don't want to be in the same member account. Then you'll get what we call a left to right error. So you don't want to be in the same membership at the same time on 2 different sessions. I'm not sure why you would want to, but just as a heads up, that will still work the same as it does if you have 2 standard teller sessions open.
Cool. And 2 more questions from the same person, so I'm going to read them both at the same time before you move on. Will there be help options such as show me the steps? And is new Xpress teller intelligent enough to guide across cross-sale incentives?
So the first answer, let me think here. What was the first question? I'm sorry.
The first question is help options. Will there be show me the steps?
Oh, yes. So with every release that we have, if there's enhancements, if there's new tools, that sort of thing, our writing team works hard to get all of that documentation updated and pertaining to which tool it is. And with this brand new awesome tool, we will definitely have a lot of documentation. We've been working on the knowledge base items, and in the kitchen page on cuanswers.com has a lot more information about that, but yes. As for the cross sales option, I have not myself seen that. So Julie, I would need to follow up on there to see if it is available exactly the same as it would be in standard teller.
Certainly, I'll make a note for you to check on that. And Couple more questions came in. Will the next available product be available in Xpress Teller?
Not sure what that means, actually.
And we can follow up with you on that.
What's that?
We'll follow up on that one.
Oh, yep.
Let's see. Would it be best if we're sharing a PC, for example, a drive-up window? Can we have a standard teller open and drive up, but also have Xpress Teller open on the front line?
100%. Yes, you can. Definitely.
And can teller drawers be closed through Xpress Teller?
Yes. So the drawer control audit screen looks exactly the way it does today. So when you're there, you'll be able to close your drawer right from that screen. Good question.
Well,
they're all good questions, I should say.
They're all awesome questions. We've had a lot of amazing questions today. That wraps it up for this set of questions.
Awesome. Thank you very much, everybody, and thank you, Julie, for helping out with that. Okay. So I know we took a little bit of a break there for some questions, but on my previous screen, I had the option for funds in and deposit withdrawal, cashier's check, or corporate check money order. Let's dive into the funds in screen first. So on my screen that you see here, we have the normal cash in, almost where it is today. You have your outside checks. Following your default hold, I love that question. And it's funny because as soon as I heard you ask it, I was kind of peeking ahead at the next one and I see the holds automatically fill in. And it's just funny how that works sometimes when something just leads right to the next point. So yes, you'll see that. You may only notice that there's, one outside check screen there or one field. If you hit enter, guess what? Another one pops up. So you can have up to 20 on this screen, the screen that you see right here. So you don't have to go to an additional screen there. Same with in-house checks. If you have that configured to be possible to do in Xpress Teller, you can have up to 10 of those right here on this screen. Miscellaneous advances, we touched on a little bit ago. So today you'll see them in the process codes on the first screen of Standard Teller. They're actually going to be on the funds in screen for miscellaneous advances. So if you do credit card advances, that sort of thing, you would come here to do that. If you do credit card advances for non-members, I'm going to circle back to the non-member processing would be done in Standard Teller. You can have up to 5 on the screen of miscellaneous advances all at one time here. Once you're done with your funds in, you have a couple options. So you have the post cash back or deposit withdrawal. So everything for funds in is on one screen. You don't have to click outside checks, in-house checks, miscellaneous advances. It's all right here. When you're all set, especially for that drive-through teller that's maybe cashing a check quickly, go right to funds in, post cash back immediately afterwards. Now, if you're putting money in the account, you would of course hit the deposit withdrawal button, which is next in the next topic here. Just like today, you can see your total funds in, your check cashing fees, that configuration pulls right from how it does today. This next one is just a quick snapshot of what it would look like if you were to hit enter. I'm a visual person, so I added this slide in here. So you can see there's another outside check button, and then there's another miscellaneous advance button as well, or field. Here's the first screen for the deposit withdrawal. So this screen, outside of the funds in being at the top, of course, looks very, very familiar. So you have your loan payoff, current balance, loan payment, net available, description of the account. One awesome new feature is next to that, you have that little blue and white clock. That is going to show you the last 10 transactions for that member. So You're in the drive-thru, you're cashing or you're depositing some checks in the account, and they say, can you tell me if my ACH came in, should have been yesterday or something? You can do it right from the screen. So if you're here, you do not need to hit the pause button, go to phone operator, you can do it from right here. There is the account type, and then if it's an IRA or HSA, those will be available to choose the codes, proper codes there. There are no prop codes in Xpress Teller. However, you can still do principal-only payments based on what type of loan it is and if it's allowed at the credit union for the product configuration. You will see miscellaneous receipts here as well. So if you take in funds, you can go to the deposit withdrawal miscellaneous receipt, or if you just go right from the first screen to deposit withdrawal, you click miscellaneous receipt, or you can hit post if you're all set. So if you just take in some checks and you just need to put it in the account, just click post. Just like today, I want to point out the little exclamation point next to my, I believe, credit card here. That will show you the delinquency indicator. So that'll show you the information on how far it's delinquent. If I were to click miscellaneous receipts, this is what would pop up. One thing I like about this screen is today in standard teller, you can easily do a miscellaneous receipt. You can do funds in, take it out of the account. The thing is when you want cash back and the member doesn't mention it until you're all the way on that screen, the only option is really post at that point. Well, with Xpress Teller, you can have up to 12 miscellaneous receipts here, and you don't have to post right now. You actually go back to where you just were. So if you have multiple things that you're doing, and then the member says, you know what, I also need $20 cash, you can save a little time by going save and return instead of just posting at this point. I say that because that's happened to me, so I wanted to mention that it's something that we are putting here. That's not why we're putting it here. I don't have that kind of pull, but you would save and return and go to that next screen to do your withdrawal. So checks and money orders. The checks and money orders screen, I really like this feature because at the bottom left of my visual here, you can see checks, money orders, and then you choose which account it's coming out of. So when you come in here, you would choose either check or money order. Then you would choose the suffix it's coming out of. So if you think a little bit about standard teller, when you are in the fund or the lookup screen, where you can choose your process code right from that screen, if that's your procedure is that you're able to do so without going into the account. It works a little bit like that is how I see it. You can print multiple checks and money orders within the same session. It works the same as it does today. On my screen, you can see I'm taking out of my regular shares, the current available balance, my check information, fee amounts. And by the way, if you have tiered services or anything that would possibly change the fee amount or no fee at all for a member, that definitely works in Xpress Teller. You can also take out the fee, but just like today, it will write out to the fee waiver report, so just keep that in mind. It works the same there. If the funds aren't available, you'll of course get a message that says they're not available there. As far as OFAC scans, those are still done automatically through here. I could either hit continue at the bottom, print and add another. Those will both take me to an OFAC scan that is still an automatic process here. Or print and complete, we'll still do an OFAC scan, but it'll be ready or be done with the transaction. So if you just need to do one check, you would click print and complete. If you hit print and add another or continue, you're able to go, like I mentioned, you can go through and do several checks. You can do several checks and then several money orders and then post your transaction. Before we move to the the vertical receipt section, which again is not just for Express Teller, but it's a newer feature that's coming out with it, or at the same time. Julie, do we have a lot of questions before I kind of switch subjects here?
There are quite a few relative to transaction processing. Would you like to answer those now?
Yes, I would. That way it's fresh in everyone's mind there before I move on to a new topic.
Okay, great. So the first question is, will checks still print an Express Teller after you push enter?
Yes. So that would be like the print or the continue button.
Right. If a deposit has more than 20 checks, do you still have to use standard teller?
Yes.
Will the screen show DBA name?
Yes. Well, it just depends on the membership designation. It will read the same in Express Teller if I'm following.
Okay. If we use the funds in screen to post a cashed check, does it write out to a $0 amount transaction?
It does not. So if you are ever monitoring the cash activity in standard teller, that information will still show up there because it reads from the same area or the same part of the program. You can still go look at the cash activity if you wanted to do that, but it will not post a $0 amount like it does if you do like a stop payment or something in the transaction history.
Okay. Will we have the ability to see the list of checks we entered to check for accuracy before we post to the account?
Yeah, well, if you're on the screen that you're taking the checks in, you'll be able to see everything at the same time. So you don't have to take in the checks. So in standard teller, you've taken all your checks, hit continue, then you're back on the screen and you have a total. In Express Teller, you'll see everything up to 20 checks at this time right on the screen. So yep, you'll be able to verify that if you want to do so right before you post.
Can I reprint a miscellaneous receipt?
If you just meant the reprinting of receipt, yes, it would be the same way. One thing you can do, and I just thought of this, is if the member says, I don't want a receipt, then they say, I do, after you've already posted the transaction and saved it. You can always hit that return to last account and go into like the last transactions, or if your policy doesn't allow you to do a print screen that way, you can just jump right into the phone operator and click the receipt like you do today.
Okay. Can you load a prepaid debit card via miscellaneous receipts and access the fee accordingly while in Express Teller?
Yes, so miscellaneous receipts will work the same. It's save and return when you're done instead of the post option on that screen, but it will function the same.
Can we do 10-day payoffs using Express Teller?
You would need to hit your pause button and jump to phone operator like today to do that in Express Teller.
Okay. If there are no prompt codes.
Let me mention something. Sorry, Julie. If you're on the transaction, the deposit withdrawal screen where you can see that loan payoff, if you're able to do so, you could copy that number, draw the copy like you can in CBase, or print that screen if you're able to do that. Otherwise, if you need a formal payoff, like payoff letter type thing, you would do it the same way as today in phone operator.
Okay. If there are no process codes, then how do you deposit to an HSA or IRA?
So that's a good point. So there are no prop codes, and what I meant specifically, and I did not mention this, so I totally understand the question. So in standard teller, you have like the T for transfer, you have the C for check, M for money order. Those will not be in Express Teller. However, you can still do the IRA, HSA deposit withdrawal and use the lookup button right next to that sub-account to choose the code that you want. So yes, that will still be available.
Okay. How do you go back to a previous screen?
Previous account, you think?
This previous screen.
Previous screen. So you'll still have all the functionality you do today with the backup. I know from seeing the software, you'll get a message that says, and it's not exact, but it'll say, like, are you sure you want to back up? Because if you enter a bunch of information and it's going to clear out, just like it would normally. But yes, you can. You're not stuck on a screen. You're not going to cause any kind of errors if you need to back out, because that does happen. So we'll just give you that little message that'll say, are you sure?
Great. And toggle between a loan payoff and current balance.
If I heard you correctly, so just like today, the loan payoff current balance, that all of that information will still be shown on the deposit withdrawal screen in Xpress Teller, if I'm understanding.
And how about masking and privacy controls?
So let's see, I think I'm understanding that correctly. So your privacy controls, there's a couple things in Xpress Teller, like the driver's license and whatnot. Now, if you have other privacy controls, I can review and research and follow up with that. I believe it will still follow the screen that you actually see now with the privacy controls, like at the bottom of the screen there. But I want to verify that for sure. So Julie will follow up with that one if that's all right.
Sure. One moment.
Sure.
Can I reprint checks and edit?
Can you reprint checks?
Correct.
Yes. So it just depends on what you mean. So if you need to reprint a corporate check or money order, you can definitely utilize the tool number 760, reprint corporate checks, money orders, where it spoils and prints a new one. If you need to void it, that process will stay the same too, where either you or maybe if it's your policy or back office team member could void that check and do what's necessary there. But yes, you can reprint a check. If it gets jammed, if it's the wrong transpose or something like that, maybe you put the name in wrong or need to add a memo, that can definitely still be done.
Okay, there's lots of questions. Let's see if I can consolidate a little bit here.
Before we go too much further, for folks that need to leave at the 4 o'clock mark, where the class was scheduled for anyway, which is fine. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. I kind of want to get through the material so they don't miss out, if that's okay, Julie. It's just a little bit more that I want to go over, and then I'd be happy to answer all the rest of the questions.
That sounds like a great plan.
Okay. So on my screen now, this may look familiar if you've ever been in the configuration. So if you don't configure things with the credit union, you don't really see the screen, of course. But I'm going to switch over a little bit and talk just a little bit more about vertical receipts. So we've had a lot of feedback and questions on it, and I'd like to just talk about it a little bit just because it's coming around about the same time as Xpress Teller. So one thing I want to point out is the vertical receipt configuration is only an Xpress Teller. You can view it at the bottom of my screen. You can see here the vertical receipt options, but this is a view only. The configuration is held in Xpress Teller workflows. That is the way the program is designed there, but you can definitely see what those settings are from the standard Teller workflow controls. One thing I'm really excited about is there's no longer, of course, a limit to 10 transactions per receipt if you have vertical receipts. So like mentioned before, you can see things like account balance summary, ending, current, and available balance, or one or the other there. And if you had missed it, I just want to mention again that the imaging solutions team, imaging@cuanswers.com, be more than happy to have any kind of conversation about converting over to the vertical receipts and any questions you have just regarding them in general. And hopefully I am able to answer some of those today. So I have just a couple more screens to show you here. So as you can see, this is standard teller. And the reason I put this here is due to the fact that, just a reminder that you can use vertical receipts with standard teller. So this, I'm going to show you a couple examples. So this is pulled from tool number 1775, the configuration, where the vertical receipts are active, of course, as you can see, but no summary. So on my receipt, you can see my member name, the date and time, the branch, which teller ID served to this member today, and then you'll see a heading that says today's transactions, and you'll see everything below that was transacted on. And really the only purpose of that screenshot to the left is to show you all the accounts that they have. Really the receipt is kind of the star of the slide here, but so that is with no summary and vertical receipts, of course. Next, you have your vertical receipts are active, summary and current balance, and available balance, and all accounts on the membership. So the top section shows the same, the middle section shows the same, and then the bottom section is, of course, new. Account summary. So even though, as you can see, I didn't transact on all those suffixes at the bottom, or in the middle, they're still showing at the bottom for all my balances. Configurable by branch, but possible with vertical receipts. In fact, you can have up to 588 transactions on one vertical receipt. So it always comes to mind if you go to like CVS or maybe Walgreens and they give you a receipt for one item that's very large, think about that maybe. You can have a lot more information show on one receipt. So I'm very happy to say that the member could see a snapshot of everything right from the one screen there. My screen print, I do want to point out that's what it'll look like if the member has a AFT. So the highlighted in blue is a reminder. That's what those are on the left there. Here's the sample receipt. And I wanted to put one on here that the joint owner is not on all the suffixes. So to the left, you can see, just like today, the balances will be start out. To the right, you have the member name, who you served today, the transaction details, and the account summary based on what they're on. So you don't see us suppress balances on that. The system will know to only show balances that they are on. Now, I know we're going to head to questions here in just a minute, but I wanted to, for those of you that may have to leave, I do want to mention that we have a lot of great items out there in preparation for Xpress Teller. It's coming very quick. We've been working really hard and being very excited about this new alternative platform. If you ever on cuanswers.com under resources, you can visit the In the Kitchen page to see everything, more information about Xpress Teller, more screenshots, links to knowledge base items. You may have seen the announcements that have come out. The Xpress Teller 101, been working with the writing team. Thank you very much, guys, on that as well. So we have those knowledge base items out there. We have the frequently asked questions. We have screenshots you can share with staff. Another thing is I want to mention that please, if you, and I know I have some more questions to address, but if you have further questions, especially as you start to, we get closer and closer to the implementation of the release, please contact the Earnings Edge team if you have any Xpress Teller questions. So that's earningsedge@cuanswers.com. We now have a store tile on the Earnings Edge store. It's a free tile right now if you go out there. But if you have any questions or would like to chat with me or anyone on the Earnings Edge team about Xpress Teller, what it could mean for your business development here, it's for CU base, please don't hesitate to reach out. And then for imaging, reach out for the vertical receipt portion. So yes, wanted to mention that. And for those that do need to leave, I want to thank you very much for attending. My name is Cody. If you know others that weren't able to attend, we recorded this session. If it goes through our quality control procedures okay, and you're able to see me basically and see the screen okay in the PowerPoint, we will put this on demand. There is an on-demand video out there that I had done. I had just recorded without an audience or without any credit unions on. So that's out there and on demand too. And again, my name is Cody, Earnings Edge team, and please feel free to reach out with any additional questions. More than happy to help. And just remember, this is coming soon, but you do not have to use it on day one. And please be sure to configure the tool set prior to going in and doing transactions. With that, let's go ahead and jump back to some questions, and we will answer your questions.
Great. There's about 12 questions left, so I think we can do this rapid fire and get done in the next 10 minutes or so. Before we do that, I do want to encourage folks to try the tools too, right? To go into Bedrock and try out the tools and see how they're working for you, and really start considering for yourselves how you're going to use Xpress Teller and Standard Teller to improve your member experiences. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and read these questions rapid fire. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. Let's see. I heard you say there will not be a PROC code. So how could we code the IRA other than doing transfers via phone operator?
So you'll be able to do the IRA HSA deposit withdrawal. Those process codes will be there, but you will also you won't have the other PROC codes is what I'm trying to say. The check, cashier's check, but you'll be able to do principal only payments still and do those IRA HSA withdrawal and deposits with those appropriate codes.
Great. Credit cards. Show on main screen for deposits and withdrawal. Yes,
if you have in-house credit cards, if you have online credit cards where you can see them as a product on CBase, yes.
Okay. Where can you go to review the history of an account if the member is asking about a previous deposit?
Two things you can do. You can jump right to phone operator in the history like today, or you can click the clock or the next to the account suffix. So you'll see the balances and then a little icon, a little blue and white icon to the right of that. That'll show the last 10 transactions for the sub accounts.
That's pretty cool. How did you get the print check money order screen without PROC codes?
So after you're at the verify ID screen, or if you're allowed to bypass it, you're able to immediately click check/money orders.
How do you go to the previous screen to change cash or checks in?
So you'll be able to back out, but you'll get a message that says, are you sure? Just in case you accidentally click it, but you're able to do so, yes.
Okay. Does balance forward work in Xpress?
It will not. So that functionality is not an Xpress Teller. We had some great conversations on this previously. We had some knowledge-based items, a couple of them actually on transfers. If you activate them in the workflow controls, you can still do a transfer. It just will not be how it is in Standard Teller. So you can still do a transfer, or if your policy allows, you can do a cash withdrawal and then a deposit into the appropriate account afterwards.
Okay, miscellaneous receipts. Can you manually enter GL postcodes for like a write-off payment?
Yes.
Or do you need to do that in Standard?
Nope, miscellaneous receipts will still work the same. Same with miscellaneous advances. Good question. All of these are good, but I haven't had that one yet.
Regards to the audit key, if a teller is using Xpress and Standard in the same day, will their transactions show up in the same audit screen?
Yes.
History, the tellers cannot use an H code since there are no PROC codes. So they have to go to the phone operator to see history of being able to put in an H to jump to that, correct?
Correct. If you want to see more than 10 transactions for that sub-account, yes.
Will copy and paste functionality work?
Yes.
Is there a possibility of putting actual phone out button into Xpress teller screens instead of pressing pause?
I did see some communication that we've had a lot of feedback from the beta clients. So we are taking a lot of things into consideration, and this is just the beginning for Xpress Teller, by the way. So we're going to be adding some enhancements. I don't know what and when at this time, but I do know that we are already working on enhancements for future releases. Let's say, if you go out to in the kitchen page, you can have a summary of all that information there, but I do know that we are listening to you and actively thinking and working on future enhancements.
Okay, some of the questions that were answered at the end of this chat here were answered in previous questions, but Alicia and Jabril, if you don't have all of your questions answered when we end, please give us a call and we will follow up with you. So the next question would be, can the account summary print be suppressed by the teller and only print the transactions done?
That just depends on the configuration. So if you allow at branch 1 to show balances, let's just say, you can do that, but if it's turned on, it's turned on for everyone. Now, the thing is if you don't want to show any balances, you can always hit serving non-owner to not show any of the account balances, even if that's turned on.
Okay. If you don't have it set to print the entire balance summary, will the receipt still show the balance of account transactions that were done?
Today's transactions will definitely be on there, but if you don't have it checked on for summary, if you're on that sub account, even if you're the account owner, it will not show your summary. So that would definitely depend on, maybe at your credit union, you always have members that are asking, I want a summary printout, that sort of thing. I would absolutely utilize that enhancement. Otherwise, you can always turn it off later or turn it off.
Can you confirm if we're able to limit the outside checks we take from 20 or anything higher?
Yes. The answer is yes, but I don't know the exact number. It's a little bit of a configuration. You have some flexibility there. So Julie, if we could follow up on that one, I just need to pop in and check it out and see.
Okay. Do you know when the next refresh for CTE is?
Oh man. So I believe it's the second Saturday after a quarter, if that makes sense. So June, I'm not sure, June, early to mid-June. But while we're thinking about that, Julie, if you don't mind, let's confirm, because this is a brand new tool, if it will work any differently and be implemented prior. I do not believe so. I believe it'll be at the quarterly refresh, but we will double check.
Certainly. Just a couple of more questions. Everybody's being so patient. Thank you for that. Let's see. Funds forward functionality. Can you confirm if it's available in Xpress Teller?
It is not. So you can do a couple different things. You can use the transfer capability in the main screen of Xpress Teller under additional member services, or if your policy procedure allows, you can always do a withdrawal and then a deposit. Just depends on what you're able to do.
All right. Everyone, that wraps it up for all of the questions. Thank you so much for all of those wonderful questions. This was a little like a game of Jeopardy for Cody. I'm impressed.
I know, you guys asked some really good questions. And right before we wrap up, for those that are dropping off and know some that couldn't make it, there's another one on June 24th at 2:30 Eastern time. Another one of these sessions.
Excellent. And actually, there is two more questions. Is if I want to see a demo in process, will there be one?
Yes, I'd be happy to do so.
Wonderful. And is there a recording available along with the slides? And again, all of our sessions are being recorded, and Cody will take the next step by having the process vetted through our quality control team, and they will post on the recording on the on-demand, so ondemand.cuanswers.com is the site.
Mm-hmm.
Be watching the client news for announcements.
Yes, we will communicate that.
Yes. You are welcome, everybody. Everybody's saying thank you for the great information, Cody.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm very excited about this. As you can tell, I've been diving in pretty deep in the new toolkit, and I really like it, so I hope you do too. Always reach out, earningsedge@cuanswers.com, or just pop into the store and put that store item in the cart, send it, it'll come to the same email group. Be happy to do a configuration Q&A with you as you're getting it set up. And just remember, you don't have to set this up Monday. You can set this up in September. It just depends on your business needs, and like Julie said, your plan and how you to work with your members and what works best for you.
Awesome. One question before you go, Cody, is can you show vertical receipts with T1 and T2?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Can you show the vertical receipt with T1 and T2? For instance, I think the session is being recorded. If that, I'll have Cody follow up with you. How's that sound? All right, everybody. Thank you so much for attending today. It looks like we're ready to wrap. Again, if you have any questions, Cody is happy to assist, and you can call the CU Answers Client Services team with general questions. Cody can answer, provide a demo, and really take your strategy to the next level. Cody, do you have anything else to wrap up?
No, just thank you again for joining, and we're here if you need any assistance or have any questions at all. So thank you so much, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody.